excited about is that we are getting some real good questions. Every day, we get some really good questions about what we can and cannot do in our insurance, right? And I wanted to briefly come on and talk about some major things that is highly one of the major questions people ask me when we sit down and we start talking about their insurance. Want to know exactly what they can and cannot do in their insurance. So today was one of those days that I had the opportunity to sit down with a lot of parents and to also speak with, spouses, talking to husband and wives. And some of the major questions that they always ask is this: do I have to list my spouse as my beneficiary if I don't want them to be my beneficiary? And I'm like, no, you do not. You do not have to list your beneficiary as your spouse if you do not want them to be your beneficiary. So here's the question: how do I figure out if my spouse is the right person to list as my beneficiary? And what if I don't want them to be my beneficiary? And if I don't want them to be my beneficiary, do they have to know? These are the questions that we've been getting a lot this week, and we definitely want to make sure that we address those things and we talk about them. Okay. So first and foremost, do I have to list my spouse as my beneficiary? And the question is no. The answer to that is no. What you want to do is when you're looking at who is going to be your beneficiary to your policy, one of the main things that you want to ask yourself is, will this person be the person that will take care of business in the event something was to happen to me or my children? Okay. If you feel like this particular person would not be the one to actually take care of your kids, right? Or to take care of your concerns, you want to make sure that they are that person. I had many calls about this in the last week or two, specifically from a lot of ladies that felt like, hey, I don't want to list my spouse as my beneficiary. However, I do want to make sure that my kids are taken care of in the event that something was to happen. And a lot of times it's because they feel like their spouse is not going to take care of the financial responsibilities of making sure that that child or their children or even the debts are actually paid off the way they should be paid off, right? So if that's the case, then let's just be real with yourself. Can we just be real about it? If you are in a relationship and you feel like if something was to happen to you, that particular person would not be the one to actually take care of what's going on behind the scenes, taking care of the debts, taking care of your children, making sure all of your affairs are taken care of, then that's not the right person. What you want to do is consider looking at a person that will basically take care of what you have asked to be taken care of in the event something was to happen to you. You definitely want to make sure that that is the case, okay? You want to also consider what exactly do you want to happen. So let's say, for instance, that you are more concerned about paying off debts. Let's say that you are more concerned about paying off things for your children or leaving them a legacy. So here is something to consider. Will your spouse be that person to do that? If they are not, if you feel more comfortable with a sibling or maybe a parent to leave that beneficiary funds behind too, that will take care of your affairs, you are legally able to do that. You can list whoever you want to list as your beneficiary. The second question that we've been getting a lot of is, how often can I change my beneficiary? If I actually start my policy off with this particular person listed, do I have to keep them on there? And the answer is no. If you feel that you would like to change your beneficiary at any given time, you can do that regardless of what the carrier is. So no matter what company you have that insurance policy written with, you can definitely decide to change your beneficiary at any given time. You know, most companies will actually send you a form or send you a document and say, hey, this is what you can do to change your beneficiary at this particular given moment. And if you want to change it back, or possibly a relationship doesn't work out, you can change who your beneficiary is at that time. These are some of the most interesting questions that we get, because sometimes it's in the matter of, hey, I'm in a rocky relationship and I would love to list my spouse. However, I'm not really certain if the relationship is going to last. So I want the option to change whenever I want to change. And to answer that question for those that send those type of messages, yes, you definitely can change that at any given time. It is not required that you list your particular spouse. And then the next question that we get on beneficiary is, how do I choose the right person? And when you're thinking about choosing the right person to be a beneficiary, that person would be someone that you feel would take care not only your last wishes, but someone that you believe, or an organization that you believe that will be able to use those funds the way that you want them to be used. Sometimes we get requests to leave funds to organizations or possibly nonprofit companies that they have either some ties to or are very passionate about, community driven like organizations, where they want to leave a legacy behind to help with scholarships, to possibly work with, you know, the homeless, or any type of organization that they feel are doing something worthy in the community. That is another way of leaving some behind as a beneficiary. It does not have to be a person. It can be an organization. Even if you are trying to do funds leaving to a trust, you can do that as well and have all of the things set up in place with the trust, and maybe some wills and things of that nature set into place, where those monies are going to where you want them to go and leaving a legacy in your name. For instance, we had a conversation with a client just yesterday who want to leave funds to her school. Want to leave funds to her school and also to her college, and possibly, you know, work with the community to give scholarships for an underprivileged area that didn't have much funding and education, and she wants to make sure she leaves money behind for that. You can definitely do that in your life insurance. Okay, so what we're talking about here is beneficiaries and why you want to choose the right beneficiary that is going to fit the needs of what you're trying to do and what you want to leave behind, the legacy that you want to leave behind. And then in addition to that, does it make sense to leave your beneficiary on there that you don't feel will at least take care of what you need to get done, your last wishes, maybe take care of your children and so forth. And while we're talking about kids, let's stay there for a second. Let's just stay there for a brief moment. If you are in the position of being a parent and you have children that are minors under the age of 18, then you want to also keep in mind that when you leave monies behind in a beneficiary, that whoever you are listing as your beneficiary need to be the person that you feel would make sure that your children are taken care of, and that they will put things in place for them as needed. Okay, so that's vitally important. So I just want to stop in for a second to explain that. We get this question quite a bit of, do I have to list my spouse if I don't want to list them? You do not. And you can have other options of listing someone besides your spouse that you believe that will take care of the affairs of the children, and also possibly any additional affairs that you feel needs to be done in place. And you don't have to list one person. You can definitely list more than one person as your beneficiary, if that is what you want to do, to make sure the funds are actually divided up the way they need to be divided up. So we want to talk more about that, and we will bring more information on that as we continue to go on. But I wanted to go ahead and stop here today just to share that information. It has been a question that we've been getting a lot of lately. A lot of people asking, hey, I want to change it. Me and this relationship is not working out, and I need to make sure that I can shift whenever I need to shift. And the answer to that is yes, definitely you can. So if you have questions or concerns and you want to ask more, make sure you reach out to us at office@demetriuscurry.com, and to also connect with us on Instagram at Demetrius_Curry. Okay. You guys have a fantastic day, and I will talk to you soon. Have a nice one.